Okay, in this video, I want to show you how we can prevent leads from becoming duplicates inside of Salesforce. This is a really common problem. We work specifically with tech companies at least doing $3 million in revenue and want to scale up to $100 million in revenue. If you're beyond 100 million in revenue, you should have already solved this problem. If you're below that, you might not have this problem quite yet. You're probably still working on more consistent lead flow. So it's probably not a priority for you yet. So if you're within 3 million, looking to scale up to 100 million, this is going to be something that you'll likely be struggling with that I can walk you through. So typically in these types of videos, what I see a lot of people do is that you'll Google something like this and they'll tell you very specifically in the video, this is how you set up, duplicate rules inside of Salesforce, and do it. You could take care of it on your own. But what I don't like about it is it doesn't give us a lot of strategy or the reasoning behind why we should even care about this in the first place. The reality is, in the business, you're spending time and money to build these systems out. And what you need to do is you need to have buy-in from your stakeholders as to why we're going to spend money and time building that system out. So what I have over here is some principles from some of these large tech companies we've worked with. If you haven't looked me up already, my name is Jordan Nelson, and the majority of my following is on LinkedIn. Over there, what you'll find is that before I even started this consulting firm 3 years ago, is that I worked for 4 different billion-dollar startups. So I worked for Vercel and Podium and Divvy and Health Equity. And this is before I started my consulting firm. And then since then, we've taken all of these other startups that are in this growth stage around that 3 million and helped them scale to $100 million and beyond. So what I'm telling you all that for is basically just the confidence to know that this isn't something that I'm just Googling and hoping that it works, and on paper it should work, but I've never seen it happen before. This is something that I literally built out at those 4 companies before and continue to build out with my team now at these growth stage startups. And every single time we see this work to help them scale to the next revenue goal that they have. So what I want to do first, before we even do the system part of this and walk through that diagram that you see to my right, I want to tell you the principles of what we talk about in those meetings with these billion-dollar companies that I worked for. So this is really what they're thinking about. There's 3 main principles that we tend to talk through to get that buy-in from the business. Why do we even care to prevent duplicates? Especially maybe right now, you're not getting too many of them and it only takes you 5-10 minutes to do. What I want to talk through is how that's going to make things hard for you to scale and why we should spend the time right now to build this foundation out so you don't have that problem later. Okay. So rule number 1 is protecting the revenue you've already paid for. Okay. So in this situation, we would always talk about in these meetings that we want to keep the speed to lead very strong. And the speed to lead is when someone types in their contact info to the time it takes your sales rep to call them. We want that as small as possible because the first person that calls them has the highest chance of getting that business. And so we don't want to be spending extra time in the middle here trying to figure out if there's duplicates, if it went to the right sales rep, if we're calling the same person twice. We don't want any of that stuff happening. We just want it to get routed to the right person. That person calls them. We know it's not a duplicate, and we try to convert that business. So one part of it is that, all right? And then we don't want any of these duplicates taking away from our conversions that we're having, okay? Where that happens is if we have duplicates come in, you think you're going to convert a lead, but so-and-so over here, this other sales rep has already been working it, and it's actually not yours and it's theirs. They claimed it first, and it causes a bunch of wasted time with your sales reps, okay? So you're paying a lot of money for this marketing to get the lead in the first place. Last thing you want to do is be debating over cleaning stuff up and whether or not it's a legit lead in your system. So rule number 1, protect the revenue. Rule number 2, you want to protect the ownership and have accountability. So when we assign this out, we want it to go to one sales rep. And then when that sales rep gets assigned to it, your sales manager wants to make sure that they can hold that person accountable for following up with them, for contacting them within an SLA time, for performing all of the follow-up tasks that you have set out for them that they should be doing within the first 10, 14 days of contacting that lead. You want to have one person owning that so that you can hold them all accountable. Okay. So one person owns that relationship. There's no split records and no one misses any follow-ups. Rule number 3, protect reporting and decisions. So This is really where you get in a bad situation as a business where you don't clean these up, you have duplicates in there. Okay, well, when we look at the numbers now and we think that, hey, we're spending X amount of dollars on our Facebook ads and we have X amount of leads that come in, it's our top winner. This is the place where we get the most of our leads. And you're not looking at how many duplicates there are. You're going to start to inflate the wrong channel. You're going to think that Facebook is the best channel for you when the reality is more than half of it is a duplicate. So you're getting all these ones in that really shouldn't be there. And now you're spending more money on a channel that you still need to work out some kinks on. So this really helps you drive in the right direction, not waste any money, not waste any time. And more than anything for these principles that we're talking about, the thing you want to be in the mindset of is that time is money. I know that's super cliche. Time is money, though, in the sense that you hire an employee, you pay them X amount per year. And sometimes when they're on salary, we forget that they are still getting paid by the day. They're getting paid by the hour. So what you should do is think that, okay, if I pay someone $200K a year, what is that in an hourly rate? If they work 50 out of the 52 weeks of the year and they work a 40-hour work week, what does that come out to? And it's going to give you a number. Let's pretend it's $100 an hour. So now that you know that Susan on your team is getting paid $100 an hour, is it worth $100 an hour for her to go through and sort through these duplicates and make sure that they're all taken care of? When the reality of her job that you hired her to do is help run strategy on marketing. It's not. Well, one, she's not doing the job that you hired her for. And two, she's wasting $100 an hour by doing this other task that you've assigned her to. So there's also that aspect, which is you got to be looking at where you're not efficient, because where you're not efficient, that's what kills you from being able to scale to your next revenue goal. You're spending time and money on things that don't matter, or you're spending way more than you should where it doesn't matter. And then the people you're hiring that provide strategy to help you move to the next level, they're stuck doing this stuff. So this is what we want to cut out, because this can be automated all in Salesforce and way more efficient. Okay. So that's why we want to do this. All right. So hopefully that helps you understand why you should be spending time on this in the first place. All right, let's blaze through this now. So this is actually how you would do this. So over here to the left, we have some type of traffic, which is all the advertising we're doing, typically social media. And you get these people interested by putting ads out there, and they go to either like a form or they go to a landing page and then a form, and they fill out a contact us form. So they land on your page, they land on a form. You convince them that your service or product is the thing for them, and they give you their personal information. And as soon as they do that, as of right now, most likely it's creating a lead inside of Salesforce without checking whether or not that person was a duplicate. So what we want to do instead are these things here. We want to set up matching rules and duplicate rules. Matching rules are the logic that makes you decide whether or not this person is a duplicate. So this is saying, hey, look at this person's email. This is by far the most simple and best way that you should do this at this stage, is just look by email. And if the email is a match to somebody we already have in Salesforce for a lead, then block it. Don't allow this to come through, right? And that way you won't have these duplicates come into Salesforce, and it takes care of it. Now, as you keep growing and scaling, you might want to consider adding in some other layers. Sometimes we want to look at maybe the email and a phone number, or email and a last name. Maybe sometimes, depending on what you're putting out there, mostly every single contact form I have, it has an email. But for whatever reason, if you don't have an email, if you want to search by their first name or last name or something else, then you might want to consider looking to allow them to be created, but monitor it afterwards. So let me show you what I mean by that. So there's two options here after we find a match. There's one to block it completely. Hey, don't allow this to be a lead. And then two, you can allow it to be created as a lead, but we're going to kind of flag it so you can monitor this on the back end. Okay. So if we do that, we're going to create that lead. It's going to come through, still going to go to your sales reps as normal, but then we're going to have a report. There's a couple steps on the back end to create this report, but basically it shows you all the ones that were potentially a duplicate. Okay. So now we can look at these and it will show us, hey, these are the people that came in, and there's their email, there's their first name, there's their last name, whatever. Are these people somebody that would be a duplicate or not? And this is going to help you monitor the logic you just set up if it's working the way you want it to. Okay. So something I usually see people do is that they forget this spot. So they allow duplicates to come in, they don't go back and check, and they're kind of in the same spot as they were before because they're not actually seeing if this is preventing ones come through or not, right? They're still kind of letting them in because maybe it wasn't quite a match. So you definitely want to have this step in here to monitor to make sure this looks good. Okay, so this is it. So this is how we're going to prevent duplicates from happening, why we feel like we should do this as a business in general, and how it's going to save you a bunch of time and money in the long run by doing this now. Now, if you have a bunch of these already, you still can do it. But again, you're going to spend a little bit more time, or if you procrastinate a little bit longer, you're going to have more duplicates to take care of, which brings us to a whole other conversation that we won't have here, which would be how do we merge those? How do we know which ones are a duplicate versus not a duplicate? How can we put all those ones that are legit leads into our system and get rid of just the duplicate ones? There's processes and tools to do that we can definitely help with. But again, that's going to increase how much time it takes to get this done. So it's just better to do this as a foundational step from the jump so that you're not worried about this as you continue to scale. Okay, if this sounds something interesting to you, you haven't done this before, you'd like this done within your company, what you can do is click the link below in our description. We'll see if we're a good fit for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we're not always the best fit in the sense that we just tend to work with tech companies that are in that 3 million looking to scale up to 100 million. So as long as you're within that range, we'll likely be a good fit for you. If you're above or below, we still can see if we're a good fit, but that might be where we refer you to somebody else depending on what your problems are. So if that seems interesting, like I said, click the link. We'll see if we're a good fit. And then if we are, we'd love to come in. What we'll do is talk about this process first, do some discovery on it, and then map this out of how it needs to be built for your specific business. So if that is you, look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks.